Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 40 Days with Henry. Today's passage is from a small book called Letters to Mark About Jesus. This is a beautiful book. Mark is his nephew who was showing some interest in spirituality. And so Nouwen begins to write him letters and says, well, why don't you write back to me with your questions and thoughts, and then we will compile them and make a book. And so this is Letters to Mark about Jesus. Henry writes, every time you make free time for God, you clear up a bit of the descending path, and you see where you can plant your feet on the way of love. It doesn't have to be spectacular or sensational. It may simply be a matter of what you say, what you read, to whom you speak, where you go on a free afternoon, or how you regard yourself and other people. What's fascinating is that the first step invariably makes the second one easier. You begin to discover that love begets love. And step by step, you move further forward on the way to God. Gradually, you shed your misgivings about the way of love. You see that in love there is no room for fear, and you feel yourself drawn to descend deeper and deeper on the way that Jesus walked before you. I love the fact that he talks about the ordinary places of our lives as the places where we engage our faith, he says, on the descending way. Now, if you're unfamiliar with that language of descending, or in other places he talks about downward mobility, the world around us is very much about upward mobility, right? We're always upgrading. We're always upgrading our cell phone or our computer. We're always climbing for some great height, whereas Jesus follows the descending way. He empties himself. He incarnates himself in the fragility of human life. And so Nouwen is always saying the call for Christians is to not climb the ladder of successes, not strive for more and more and more, but to follow Jesus on this descending way where we dwell with people in love. And I love the fact that for Nouwen here, it's in the very ordinary places of life. It's in the free times for God. Sometimes I think we can make our spiritual lives more demanding than it needs to be. As we clamor on for ourselves a sense of schedules or structures or things that we feel that we must do to climb the height to God. And here, he says, it's not demanding. That spending our time with God in these free time places, it doesn't have to be spectacular. It doesn't have to be sensational. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It can be very ordinary. And in some sense, it's in the ordinariness that you find the blessing. It would be an interesting question to ask ourselves as we go through Lent, is to say, how can I make sure that I am following the path of Jesus in the ordinary spaces of my life, rather than taking on spiritual activities or doing some elaborate routine of fasting? How can I see the ordinary places of my life as a place where I dwell in the love of Jesus and I offer it to someone else? He talks about it. Maybe it's how you talk to people. Well, what would that be like? I don't know. Maybe, instead of have a good day, would you say, well, God bless you? And mean that authentically, not as just like a response to sneezing. He talks about how you see people. When you see people walking around or in the next car in a traffic jam, what does it look like to dare to believe that they are loved by God and to see them as loved by God? It's these ordinary places that the life with Jesus can really fully take hold. And that's what he's trying to say to Mark. But I love the fact that what he also says is that the first step makes the second easier. That we enter into this road where all of a sudden we're finding ourselves more deeply walking in the path of Jesus. And there are some times where that call of love might call us to be bold, to step out of our comfort zones. And yet we can do that because we have that solid basis of living with Jesus in the ordinary, free time places of our lives. So maybe you hold that before you as you go through this season of Lent. Where can you express the love of Jesus? How can you dwell with Jesus in the free time spaces of your life? Well, God bless you as you continue on in this 40-day journey with Henri. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.